Have you ever noticed there are questions we never dare to ask? Not because we don't know the answer, but because we fear what they might awaken inside us. Questions that sound simple, almost innocent, yet carry the quiet power to shake the walls of our inner world. And one such question, Carl Jung once warned, is so piercing that most people avoid it their entire lives. Do you want to know that question? Stay with me till the end, because once you hear it, you won't be able to unhear it. That question is, who will take care of you when you're old? Sounds harmless at first, doesn't it? But let it echo for a moment. It's not a threat, not a tragedy carved into stone. It's a profoundly human possibility, so close, so real, that many of us are terrified even to think about it. We often believe that by ignoring it, by not saying it aloud, we can escape it. But the truth is, this question isn't about the distant future. It is about the now. It lives in your relationships, in your silences, in the way you build or neglect your connections every single day. And if hearing this question unsettles you, if you feel a quiet tension rising inside, that is not something to run from. It is a sign. A sign that something in you is still awake, still alive, still capable of responsibility. Jung understood this well. The life you are building today is the same life that will accompany you when your body grows weaker, when the voices around you become fewer, when the world values memory more than speed. But here's the unsettling part. Old age doesn't arrive suddenly. It creeps in invisibly, woven into small daily choices. Each avoided hug, each postponed apology, each conversation sacrificed for the illusion of being too busy. No one ages all at once. We age slowly every time we let closeness slip away. So pause here and reflect. Who will be there for you if you have cared for no one? Before we continue deeper into this, make sure you subscribe to my channel SYC Soul, tap the like button, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Trust me, you'll want to hear the rest. And share this with someone who secretly fears growing old alone. Think about it carefully. Aging is not an accident, nor is it a sudden collapse. It's a story written daily, in whispers so subtle we hardly notice. Each time you choose distraction over presence, work over intimacy, or pride over forgiveness, you are quietly shaping your future. And then, one day, you will look around and realize the truth. You have grown old, not because of time alone, but because of what you nurtured or what you neglected. Carl Jung believed that our defenses hide more than they protect. We avoid closeness, we escape into endless busyness, convincing ourselves there will always be another time, another chance. But let me ask you, what if there isn't? What if the people you silently depend on now, the ones you assume will always be there, drift away long before you notice? This isn't cruelty, it's consequence. And this is where the most haunting question rises. If you have not planted seeds of love, empathy, and presence today, what exactly will you harvest tomorrow? Remember, relationships are not miracles that bloom in your old age out of nowhere. They are cultivated years in advance. Often when we least realize we are building the foundation of our future. I have witnessed countless stories of people entering their later years, only to realize their loneliness was not bad luck. It wasn't some cosmic punishment. It was the outcome of choices. Silence instead of speaking, distance instead of reconciling, control instead of care. They suddenly see that the emptiness around them was not imposed, it was built. Slowly, quietly, over decades. Here's the paradox. The urgency is not to search for someone who will one day care for you. The urgency is to stop running now. To stop postponing what matters most. To allow the discomfort of this question to pierce through your distractions. Because only when you confront what you fear do you begin to transform. Time, after all, doesn't shout. It doesn't argue. It simply moves forward, relentless and quiet. And as it moves, it carries away what you ignored, what you thought you could postpone. what you assumed would wait for you. So let me rehook you with this. What happens when you finally realize the most dangerous illusion of youth, that time will always wait for you, is nothing but a lie? Stay with me, because Jung's insights will make you rethink the way you live today. Carl Jung once said that the greatest tragedy of human life is not death, it is unlived life. And isn't that exactly what hides behind the question we started with? Who will take care of you when you are old? Because the answer is not in the future. It is in whether you are truly living now, whether you are touching lives deeply enough that they will remain with you when time strips away everything else. Look around. Most people imagine that old age is simply a physical decline, wrinkles, weaker bones, slower steps. But Jung saw something far more haunting. He noticed that the real suffering of old age is not weakness of the body, it is emptiness of the soul. It is the unbearable silence of realizing that no one truly knows you, that you never allowed yourself to be known, that you never risked being vulnerable enough to love and be loved fully. And here's where I want to ask you, how often do you avoid the very closeness you secretly crave? How often do you act strong, independent, untouchable, believing that needing someone makes you weak? Think carefully, because the price of that illusion is paid later, when your independence turns into isolation, when your pride turns into loneliness, when the house you filled with things cannot echo back your laughter. You see, Jung believed that repression, the things we push away, deny, or silence, never disappears. It waits, it hides, and then, in the later chapters of life, it returns as shadows, as regrets, as the sudden ache of what if. And old age, he warned, is the stage of life where these shadows come forward most mercilessly. So let me rehook you here. Imagine sitting by a window in your final years, surrounded not by people, but by ghosts of words unsaid, apologies unspoken, love withheld. Would you be able to face them? Or would they suffocate you more than loneliness itself? The truth is, life doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for presence. It asks for courage to connect, to give, to forgive, before the chance disappears. But if you refuse this, if you close your eyes and ears, time will give you exactly what you invested. Silence, distance, and the bitter taste of too late. And maybe the cruelest part is this: you won't realize the cost until the bill is already due. Have you ever wondered why some elders radiate peace while others seem to carry storms in their eyes? Jung believed it has little to do with money, status, or even health. It has everything to do with how honestly they live the seasons of their life. Old age, he said, is not an accident. It is the harvest. And what you harvest depends entirely on the seeds you planted long before. Here's the mystery most people don't want to hear. The loneliness of old age doesn't begin at 70 or 80. It begins right now. It begins when you avoid difficult conversations. It begins when you ignore the friend who tried to reach out. It begins when you withhold kindness because you fear rejection. Every choice to withdraw becomes a silent rehearsal for the emptiness that may one day surround you. And this is why Carl Jung considered questions like, "Who will take care of me when I am old?" so powerful. They force us to face the uncomfortable truth. Life gives us back exactly what we gave to others. If you gave presence, you'll receive presence. If you gave love, you'll receive love. If you gave nothing but silence, then silence is what will return to you. Now, pause for a moment. Are you connecting with these ideas? Do they feel uncomfortably close to your own life? If yes, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching this video from right now? And let me know, honestly, if these words reflect something you felt or witnessed. Your reflections matter, and if you admire this work, share a word of encouragement. That way, I'll know these truths are finding their way into the hearts that need them most. But don't drift away yet. Let me rehook you with something even more haunting. Jung warned that the danger of ignoring these truths is not only ending up lonely, it's becoming bitter. Because when you refuse to take responsibility for your inner world, you begin to blame everyone else for your emptiness. Old age, then, becomes a stage not of wisdom, but of resentment. And nothing corrodes the soul more deeply than carrying bitterness into your final years. So ask yourself now, are you planting peace or are you planting poison? Because one day, when the years catch up, that is exactly what you will taste. Carl Jung often described life as a journey of becoming whole. And that journey doesn't stop when we reach middle age, it intensifies. Because as the years pass, the mask we wore for society, the persona we carefully polished, begins to crumble. What remains, Jung warned, is the raw truth of who we really are. If we ignored that truth, then old age exposes it mercilessly. Think about it. How many people live their entire lives chasing achievements, respect, wealth, or admiration, yet never pause to ask, who am I, when no one is watching? When those achievements fade, when strength declines, what's left? That is why Jung insisted that we cannot run forever. Old age is not a curse. It is the mirror that shows us whether we lived authentically or merely performed a role. And here lies the unsettling mystery. The people who cared most about looking successful are often the ones most terrified when the applause stops. Why? Because without their mask, they discover an emptiness inside. Meanwhile, those who cultivated love, curiosity, and meaning discover something else entirely. They find that age has a gift. It strips away the noise and leaves only what is real. But let me rehook you here. What if the very thing you fear growing older is not your enemy, but your judge? A judge that delivers not punishment, but truth? Will you be ready to hear that verdict? Now, before I take you deeper into this, let me pause and invite you, if you are finding meaning here, if these insights are awakening something in you, subscribe to SYC Soul. Click the like button. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss upcoming videos. And share this with someone who needs to hear Jung's wisdom. These reflections are not just stories, they're lifelines. Because here's the point Jung kept pressing. The second half of life is not about climbing higher. It's about going deeper. It's about integrating the parts of yourself you ignored, the shadows, the regrets, the desires you buried. If you don't face them, they come back to haunt you in your later years, often as bitterness, anxiety, or despair. But if you do face them, if you dare to reconcile with your whole self, then old age becomes a crown, not a curse. So tell me, what are you running from? Because the more you avoid, the louder it waits for you at the end. Here's something Carl Jung understood better than most. Life is a paradox. The more we try to avoid pain, the more it follows us. The more we run from loneliness, the closer it clings. And yet, when we face these fears, something astonishing happens. They begin to transform. Jung called this process individuation, becoming whole by uniting the parts of ourselves we tried to hide. Now ask yourself, what parts of your soul have you silenced? Perhaps you silenced your need for love, convincing yourself you're stronger alone. Perhaps you silenced your creativity, calling it childish. Perhaps you silenced your anger until it became bitterness. Every silence leaves a mark, and in old age, these marks reappear. But instead of being shadows that terrify you, they can become wisdom if you face them now. Think of old age not as a collapse, but as a revealing. Imagine it as a great tide pulling back the ocean, exposing what was always there beneath the surface. For some, what's revealed is beauty, compassion, presence, gratitude. For others, what's revealed is emptiness, resentment, regret, denial. And the haunting truth? That choice is being made every single day in the life you are living right now. But let me draw you in closer. Jung observed that when people refuse to confront their inner truths in youth, they are forced to confront them in old age, but with less strength, less time, and far fewer chances to repair what's broken. Doesn't that thought send a shiver through you? To imagine carrying the weight of decades of avoidance, only to realize you cannot escape anymore? Here's the paradox again. If you want peace when you are old, you must make peace now. If you want companionship later, you must offer companionship now. If you want meaning, you must live meaningfully not someday, but today. So let me rehook you with this question. If old age is nothing but the unveiling of your true self, what will be revealed about you? A soul filled with light, or a soul crowded by shadows? Pause with that thought, because what you choose today is what will echo in your final days. There is a silence that terrifies more than any noise. It is the silence of sitting in a room filled with your own regrets. Jung understood this silence well. He saw that people who avoided responsibility in the first half of life often found themselves trapped in it during the second. Not because the world punished them, but because their own unlived life returned like a shadow. Picture this. You are older now. The house is quiet, the visitors fewer. On the shelves are trophies, certificates, photos of celebrations. But none of them can keep you company. None of them can answer the question you avoided all your life. Did I really live? This is not imagination. It is a reality Jung saw in countless lives. People who seemed powerful, admired, successful, suddenly collapsing under the unbearable weight of emptiness when the applause faded. And here's the frightening part. The shadow of unlived life doesn't just sit quietly. It whispers. It haunts. It repeats the choices you refused to face, like an endless echo. Why didn't you forgive? Why didn't you love? Why did you stay silent? These questions do not disappear. They grow louder with time, until they are all that remain. Now let me rehook you with something Jung insisted. Death itself is not the greatest fear. The greatest fear is realizing that you never truly lived before death arrived. Think about that. Death is inevitable, yes. But living half asleep, disconnected, bitter, that is a choice. And one day, when the body weakens and the curtain of time begins to fall, that choice will reveal its full cost. But here's the hidden key. Jung did not see this as despair. He saw it as a call, a chance to awaken now, while there is still time. To stop pretending, to stop hiding, to stop wasting your days in distractions that mean nothing. Because if you wait, if you keep running, then old age will not be your teacher, it will be your sentence. So I ask you, if the silence of your final days began today, what would it say to you? Would it thank you for the love you gave, or accuse you of the love you withheld? Think carefully, because this is not about someday. It is about now. Carl Jung believed that facing the darkness is not the end of the story, it is the beginning. The shadows you fear, the regrets you carry, the loneliness you try to ignore, these are not punishments. They are signals. Signals that something in you is still alive, still longing to be healed, still capable of change. And the miracle is this: transformation is possible, no matter your age. Think about it. Have you ever met someone in their later years who radiates peace, gentleness, even joy? They are not free from suffering, nor untouched by mistakes. The difference is that they chose to face their shadows instead of denying them. They made peace with their past. They forgave others and themselves. And because of this courage, their old age became not a prison, but a crown. This is why Jung said that the second half of life demands a different kind of courage than the first. In youth, courage means striving, climbing, building. But in age, courage means surrendering not to despair, but to truth. It means daring to accept the parts of yourself you once rejected. It means asking forgiveness, even if decades have passed. It means learning to receive love, not only give it. But let me rehook you here with a thought that might shake you. What if the most important work of your life doesn't begin until you think your best years are over? What if aging is not a decline, but an initiation, a test to see whether you will turn bitter or turn wise? Jung observed that those who embrace this inner work often discover a strange paradox. Their bodies may grow weaker, but their souls grow stronger. Their outer world may shrink, but their inner world expands. And instead of loneliness, they feel connection to people, to nature, even to the mystery of life itself. This is not fantasy. It is a choice available to anyone. And it begins with honesty. Honesty about the love you withheld. Honesty about the masks you wore. Honesty about the fears you hid. Once you face these, healing begins, and with it, the possibility of peace. So pause and ask yourself, are you brave enough to turn toward your shadows now? Or will you wait, hoping they'll disappear, only to find them waiting for you at the end? Here is a truth that Carl Jung never stopped repeating. What you do not make conscious controls you. And this is why so many people reach old age shocked by the life they are living. They thought they had escaped their fears, their shadows, their unspoken wounds. But in reality, those very shadows were guiding every step, silently shaping their choices, until finally, when age stripped away distractions, they stood face to face with what they had avoided. Imagine reaching the end of your life and realizing you spent decades running, but never arriving. Imagine recognizing that the very people you pushed away were the ones you most needed. Imagine discovering that the career you sacrificed everything for could not hold your hand when you grew weak. These are not abstract possibilities. They are the bitter realizations Jung saw again and again in his patients. But here is the haunting paradox. The same shadows that terrify you can become your greatest teachers. Loneliness can teach you the value of presence. Regret can teach you the urgency of now. Even bitterness, if faced honestly, can open the door to forgiveness. The only condition: stop running. Let me rehook you with this. If you knew that in the silence of your final years, every ignored truth, every silenced word, every abandoned dream would return to you, would you live differently today? Because that is exactly what Jung's wisdom commands. Live now in such a way that your old age becomes a sanctuary, not a courtroom. Practical steps? They are not dramatic. They are human. Speak the apology you've delayed. Call the person you've neglected. Forgive the wound you've carried for years. Create bonds not out of need, but out of love. These small acts, repeated, become the foundation of peace in your later years. Jung taught that wholeness is not perfection. It is acceptance, the ability to embrace both your light and your shadow. If you can do this, then aging is no longer terrifying. It becomes the natural unfolding of a life lived authentically. But if you refuse, if you continue to silence your soul, then old age will not bring wisdom. It will bring only the echo of what could have been. And that, perhaps, is the heaviest weight a human heart can carry. Carl Jung once said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And perhaps that is the ultimate lesson hidden inside the question we began with. Who will take care of you when you are old? It is not really a question about caretakers, family, or circumstance. It is a mirror. A mirror reflecting the truth of how you have lived, who you have loved, and how deeply you have dared to face yourself. Old age is not an accident. It is the unveiling of the soul. Picture it. The days have slowed. The world around you grows quieter. The roles you once played, provider, achiever, competitor, faded. All that remains is you. Not the image, not the mask, just you. Will you be enough? Will you sit in that silence with peace? Or will you be haunted by the echoes of a life unlived? This is the mystery Jung forces us to confront. But here lies the secret he wanted us to know. It is not too late. It is never too late. The shadows you fear can still become teachers. The regrets you carry can still be softened by forgiveness. The love you withheld can still be offered, even in whispers, even in small gestures. And the life you fear is slipping away can still open into meaning if you dare to awaken now. So let me rehook you one last time. Imagine standing at the end of your life and realizing, with a quiet smile, that you lived honestly, you loved fully, you forgave deeply. Imagine the peace of knowing that when the final silence comes, it will not be heavy with regret, but luminous with meaning. That is not a fantasy. It is a choice, and it begins today. If these words have touched you, if Jung's wisdom has stirred something inside you, then do not let it fade. Subscribe now to SYC Soul, like this video, turn on the notification bell so you never miss the coming reflections, and share this with someone who needs it most. Because truth unshared is truth wasted. The question remains, who will take care of you when you are old? The answer is not out there. It is within you, being written in every choice you make. And one day, that answer will reveal itself. Until then, live wisely.